In this town, there's no off-season. The news never stops, and neither do we. It's always game day in Cleveland with Andy Baskin and Daryl Ryder.
It's always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. We are brought to you by Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling solution. All right, Daryl. So plenty of stuff going on. It's not like it's a dead period in the NFL. So we have plenty to talk about when it comes to the Browns. And I think that number one pick pretty much feels like it's sealed by Tennessee. If that didn't happen today, then it's either that or someone's going to jump over the Browns to get the number one pick to pick up Cam Ward. What's the latest on Cam Ward?
Yeah, I mean, he held his pro day down at Miami, along with the other Hurricanes that are coming out for the NFL draft. He looked great throwing the football with no defense on the field.
They all do, don't
yeah, exactly. That's why I think pro days are kind of a bit of a joke in my view. It's people trying to make a big deal because Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry weren't there, but Cam Ward has already come through Berea for his top 30 visit. Along with a couple other, top prospects, including Shedeur Sanders and Abdul Carter. So, but what's interesting is the Tennessee Titans basically sent their entire organization to Miami for this pro day. And,
is that a way of just saying, hey, we love you and we want you? Or is that letting everyone know we are very serious about draft? I mean, if he's already been to Cleveland, what's the sense in sending everyone down there for this?
Well, I mean, I think that it's Cam's going to go number one. Like
right.
That's been the thought for the last couple of weeks here, that he will go number one in the draft, and that leaves the Browns on the clock at number two. Now, it could be some gamesmanship on the part of Tennessee by sending everyone down there to telegraph, hey, this is the guy we're going to pick. Mm-hmm. But if you want him, you're going to have to come with your best offer. Because that does, believe it or not, happen leading up to the draft. And this is one of those rare drafts right now where everyone has their first round pick. Like, there have been no trades in the first round yet. And I would anticipate at some point that is going to change, but this could be some gamesmanship. But, Zach Jackson of The Athletic, who attended Cam's pro day, noted the volume of interaction between Tennessee Titan club officials and Cam Ward, both before the pro day workout and then immediately right after it. So it really does look like that the Titans have zeroed in on Cam Ward as the number one pick. And if they haven't, they're doing a great job selling it so that somebody else comes up to number one so they can draft him.
So if you take Cam Ward off the board and you say Titans, now the draft becomes the Browns.
Right.
So where do we go from there then? So, if they want Shedeur Sanders, he's his, but there's also been rumblings about Deion saying some stuff too, whether they're rumor or true. I don't know. You tell me. You've heard the rumblings.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of silly season on social media with the wannabe NFL insiders and the wannabe have a scoop guys. Mm-hmm. Someone had posted on X that Deion was, I guess, at some conference and allegedly said, "We're hoping for New York," end quote. And but you don't know. There's no video of this, and apparently, based on some of the feedback to the guy's original post, people were saying, "Well, this conference happened a week ago." So you would think that if this was actually said by Deion, there would be video of it, or audio of it, or this would not have taken so long to come out.
Unless Deion got up in front of the conference or the room, that people in the room said, hey, please don't repeat this, but we're kind of hoping on New York.
Yeah.
If he was in New York, right? I mean, was the conference in New York?
Yeah, I don't know what this thing is.
Yeah, I don't know where it is, but I mean, you got to know your audience. That's what I would say at all times. So
yeah, I mean, there is some validity question to be asked about it. And until Deion Sanders says something on the record that is for people to see and hear, I'll believe it at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because Andrew Berry has had conversations with Deion Sanders already. I mean, they talked at the combine.
Right.
So I think that if there was a problem there with the Browns, we would have absolutely heard about it, because let's be honest about it. Deion Sanders is not somebody that holds his feelings close to his chest, right? He wears
never has. No.
Yeah, I mean, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. That's his, that's just his bit. And I'm not criticizing him. And in fact,
just who he is. That's all.
Yeah, and
I've seen him. I know that when he was doing his baseball career, he was pretty quiet when he was doing baseball, but he was playing minor league baseball. I mean, I caught up with him when he was in Columbus. I think he was in Louisville at the time, which was Cincinnati's affiliate, and he was just. He was a little bit quiet, but that was a long time ago. I mean, man, that was like in the 90s, late 90s. So
yeah, well, I mean, quiet and Deion Sanders in the same sentence, just it doesn't.
Actually, when it came to baseball, he was quiet. But then we talked about there's a church, Pastor Forbes is the guy's name, out of Columbus, and and Deion had done some preaching there. With I think they called it the arena because it looked like it was actually really cool. Deion was helping out a church that was started in Pastor Forbes' basement, and Deion had come through. And since then, it's just amazing to see how that. I was talking to somebody about it this weekend when I was in Columbus for studio stuff for state basketball, and just we were like, wow, that place still exists, and a lot of athletes still go through there. So, but I mean, that's there are many sides to Deion. I think for Brown fans, they were just concerned that Deion was going to say, I don't want Shedeur to play for Cleveland. Because, Deion had kind of alluded to the fact that if he got drafted by a team or if there was a team that was interested, he would let them know that family was not interested in going there. So, but we haven't heard that. So that's the good thing. Yeah.
So I kind of take that whole thing with a grain of salt at this point. But I think that the draft now starts with the Browns with the second pick. I don't think that anything happened on Monday to change many minds that Cam Ward will be the number 1 overall selection. And so, Andrew Berry then has to make a decision. Is Shedeur Sanders a franchise quarterback? And if he is, you have to take him. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get caught up in what I get caught up in and talk about, and that's, value of the pick. Some teams have second round grades on Shedeur Sanders, I just think that if Andrew Berry believes that he's got that type of a ceiling, then I feel like you almost have to take him there because you're not winning a Super Bowl with Abdul Carter or Myles Garrett. You're not,
unless you're sold on another quarterback that you don't have to take it to. Like they may be sold on a different quarterback, and it wouldn't surprise me that if they did take Abdul Carter too. But I'm just saying, again, and then jump. I mean, they've got the assets to jump back in the first round if they want to do that. They do.
We can't do the Cody Kessler thing again, though. Where you're taking fire on a guy in the third round because that's the value pick or whatever. Like, no,
and that's why I'm not saying wait till the third round. I'm saying
that's where the guys are in this draft class, though. Like, there's a pretty big gap between Cam, then Shedeur, then take your pick of any of these other quarterbacks in this draft. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like this quarterback class is not well regarded in league circles right now.
But that's not well regarded by scouts of certain teams, or I mean, if there's a team that's in love with one of these other quarterbacks, they're going to take them. And they're going to sit there and they're going to wonder if other teams are going to take them. And that would be the only time that you really need to pull back up and do that. So we sit here and we let the media dictate where these guys truly are and where they're. I mean, is Cam Ward a second round pick in any other year? I don't know. Is he?
Probably.
Okay, so then we're sitting here and we're trying to make a decision based on scouts' opinions. And look, if there's a head coach and a general manager that believes in a quarterback other than these guys, sometimes you take them and you roll the dice and you look like idiots and maybe you get fired if it doesn't work, or you look like a genius and you draft Tom Brady super late. I just think there's a lot of experts out there that when they talk now, and then we don't hear about them after the draft. I mean, is there a website that's, Mel, and I'm not ripping Mel because he's done a fantastic job making this business, but I mean, is there a let's let's fact check, Mel Kiper site, and there are plenty. It's not just Mel, it's everybody. And we've been walking through this going, well, this is a bad quarterback draft. This is bad. And then all of a sudden you don't know until they actually play. I'm just saying, like, I'm always leery of that kind of stuff. I am. I just because I don't like, who do you trust? And you don't know. You can't predict. What if a guy could have had a great career, but he busts his ankle in his rookie season? Then what? Oh, he would have been great. That's what we'll say. Oh, he was the steal of the draft. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The reason that the Browns draft Shedeur Sanders, though, is to sell their fans hope. And
I agree with that.
And sell some jerseys in the team shop, right?
Yeah, and that's not the way to operate. All right, let's take a quick timeout. We'll come back. I want to talk about other quarterbacks when we do this. So it's always game day in Cleveland. It's always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin, brought to you by Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling solutions. All right, so Daryl, I mean, do you feel confident they're going to take Shedeur too, or what do you think they'll do?
I think right now it's the most logical choice. I just all around from a football perspective, they look. I mean, I've been saying this all off season, right? Dumpster diving for quarterbacks. There are no good options that the Browns can afford, or just even guys that they can't afford. They're just, none of these guys are worth the money they're getting this offseason. I mean, Daniel Jones got $15 million. Like, it's totally not worth that kind of money.
Right.
But that's what he got. That's what the market pays, right? The wage scale is the wage scale. So the way I look at this situation for the Browns is that, we have reached the just throw a bunch of stuff on the wall and hope something sticks portion of the program. And as part of that, I think you go Shedeur at 2. I'm not saying that's what they should do, but like I totally get if they do it. I understand why they would do it. 1, it sells hope to fans. 2, it sells jerseys in the team shop. 3, it buys you 3 years to make it work. Okay. Because you don't expect that he's going to take you to the playoffs in year 1, maybe in year 2 or year 3, right?
Right.
So you basically open up for yourself a 3-year window to find out if he's the guy. And if he's not the guy, okay, all you did, I mean, you already flushed $230 million. What's another, $65 million rookie contract or whatever that particular wage scale is going to be, right?
Right.
And then you move on from that in 2 years or 3 years, right? So it just, and I'll be honest with you, Andy, I'm a proponent of them drafting another quarterback later in the draft.
I'm with you on the same thing. So, Daryl, I can almost see it going down like
2 rookies and 2 veterans in the 4-man quarterback room this offseason.
I don't even want to say it. Deshaun Watson is still in that quarterback room.
Deshaun Watson's not in the quarterback room.
Deshaun Watson is still in the quarterback room. I'm telling you, he's still there. And you can't tell me that if he heals a little bit faster, they're going to try to squeeze some blood out of that rock because they spent all this money on it.
Nope. I don't believe that at all.
I totally think that he is still in that quarterback room.
If they draft the quarterback, Andy, with the number 2 pick, they are 100% invested in that player's future, and that is it. Nothing else matters.
So what happens if they don't? So, Daryl, what happens if they don't?
Well, then they will take a flyer on Milroe or Jackson Dart or any of these other guys that.
So when they take Abdul Carter, Daryl, you're going to call me up and go, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
If I will say this.
Okay.
Under no circumstances should Deshaun Watson be a factor in anything they do going forward.
If they don't draft a quarterback at 2, his name will surface again during the end of the season.
I'm telling you, if they don't take a quarterback at 2, that's their way of saying that we don't believe Shedeur Sanders is a franchise quarterback, and therefore we're not going to spend that asset.
You don't think there's a part of someone's mind in that front office is saying, you know what?
Better not be.
But that's Daryl Ryder speaking. That's not the Cleveland Browns. Am I right or am I wrong?
Better not be.
What is that, Daryl Ryder, or do you think that's the Cleveland Browns?
It's me.
They're still paying this guy.
Doesn't matter.
It does.
That doesn't matter.
If he comes back and he's healthy, and they don't draft a quarterback at 2, I mean, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face, Daryl. I mean, as long as they're paying him and he's on the payroll, the day he's cut is the day I'll believe he'll never play for the Browns again.
Well, I think they're going to run the clock out on that contract. And I think that they're going to make sure he doesn't play this year due to the injury because he ruptured it a second time.
Right.
Okay? And he can post all the hype workout videos on his social media that he wants. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it doesn't matter. They cannot, under any circumstances, waste another ounce of energy in him being on the field, wearing a Browns uniform, and taking a snap of any kind. Nope.
If they don't take a quarterback at 2, there will be some energy spent on him at some point during the season. That's what I'm saying.
He's not going to be available this year, Andy.
I hear this too, and Mary Kay Cabot said the other day, and I'm just because I read I've been reading about injury time and coming back on this thing. And while, yes, it is true that he could be out for a year, there's also a shot he may not be out for a year. I mean, it's just a matter of how he heals. And obviously, maybe the first surgery wasn't perfect, but
had he not ruptured it a second time, I'd hear the argument.
Okay.
But he ruptured it a second time.
I know.
Also,
Daryl, I hear you.
Here's the other thing that I just am noticing. This is just an observation on my part. Okay. I just noticed that Deshaun's making it a point to show everyone that he's working out in Berea, Ohio. Whereas after the first surgery, all his social media was him traveling the world. And I'm just pointing that out.
So what does that mean, though? So why would he do all of his workouts in Berea then? The team has told him to. That's what I was told.
Yeah. So
it would be beneficial that he does do these in Cleveland. So it doesn't. So the optics of it aren't that bad.
I'm just pointing out what I've observed.
Okay. All right. We're on this little vitriol going on in the show.
No, no vitriol. I just don't want to say something that's speculative that gets me in trouble.
Yeah, and trust me, I'm not speculating that he's ever. Truthfully, I think he's never playing for the Browns again. But I think if there's an opportunity, that door's not closed.
And maybe I should start rooting for them to draft Shedeur Sanders so that slams that damn door shut.
Well, I mean, you still never know. What if they draft another quarterback later in the? And let's be honest. I mean, they did bring Kenny Pickett in too, so I mean, they're going to give him a chance. You can roll your eyes and put your hands in your head. Kenny Pickett is also going to get a chance to start.
He's going to get a chance to compete.
He is going to start. I'm going to say the over-under.
Because that's how this is going to go. But here's what I'm going to tell you.
The over-under is 3 games on Kenny Pickett starts this year. 3 games.
I'll take the under on that.
Okay, all right.
Starts 2. But if they draft Shedeur at number 2.
And that is not affiliated with any betting site, just so everybody knows. I just said that off the top of my head.
But if you're a betting site and you'd like to sponsor our podcast, we'd be happy to help you out.
Nothing like begging, Daryl. Good job. Nice job.
You know what? I'm very good at begging.
You are.
I've been doing it all my life. You know what? Here, let me get my appropriate. Hang on, that's not the cup that I want to. Hang on a second. I got to make sure I get the right cup. I don't want to get myself in. So a little inside baseball. I have a certain mug that's on my office desk, and a couple of podcasts ago, we were recording, and I had noticed that I had inadvertently put it over it was on my cabinet, and we had gotten halfway to recording the first segment. I'm like, hang on here. I got a coffee mug that shouldn't be there and should not be on camera, and we had to reset. And that was the mug. Okay, so I got my cup here. Here we go.
Okay, is that the mug or is that a cup?
This is my panhandling cup.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hear that?
Nice.
We're begging for sponsors.
No, you sound like obnoxious parents with a cowbell at any youth game.
Hey, more cowbell.
Yeah. We need less at youth games. But anyway, go ahead,
But no, if they draft Shedeur Sanders, I predict he starts week 1.
All right, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
There's no veteran out there that's going to be better than starting him at this point.
All right, so listen, we got like 2 minutes left in this segment. I just want to go through this. You tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, just give me a number. I don't know if I want to put that. Just on a scale of 1, where are they on the Darylometer of perhaps playing for the Cleveland Browns? Ready? 0 to 10. 0 being the worst, 10 being the best.
Okay, 10 means they're playing for the Browns. 0 means no chance.
All right, ready? Kirk Cousins.
I'm going to say 1.
1. Okay.
Well, I mean, the fact that now it's out, Cousins isn't even going to entertain the no trade thing until after the draft.
Correct.
Tells me he doesn't want to get Penixed again. So
okay. All right, ready? Let's go. Next one. Aaron Rodgers.
I'm praying to God that's a 0.
Okay. Russell Wilson.
I'm going to put it a 4 because annual cash, I think, is as well as cap charge. I think those are the 2 issues there.
For the good or for the bad?
Well, in my case, good, because I don't want him to be a Brown. So
okay. All right. Joe Flacco.
A 2.
Ryan Tannehill.
I'll go 4.
Carson Wentz.
I'm going to go 5.
Ooh, Carson Wentz, a 5. That's your highest number so far. How about the rest of the field? Just you don't have to give me names. The rest of the field as the veteran quarterback coming in.
I'll go 3.
3. So you feel like this is Carson Wentz's gig?
No, I just think that, of the ones that may be out there, maybe they'll be, and based off what Mary Kay reported last week, the whole mutual interest deal. And just again, for the record, I don't want to see any of these guys. I hope the Browns don't sign any of them. The problem is they have to sign one of them.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's come back. Still rumblings about the stadium. More stuff. The mayor speaks, huh? Mayor's got a couple quotes we can look through. Right, Daryl? Is that what we're going to do? All right, I just want to make sure. Yeah. I see the look of confidence in your face. It's always game day.
Vertical one-on-one with Fox 8 in Cleveland.
There you go. It's always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. Okay, we are in the home stretch. We are brought to you by Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling solution. All right, Daryl, what's the latest on the stadium?
Well, the most
start with the funding, will you? Start there.
Yeah. The most significant development, I guess, came out of Columbus over the weekend. Karen Kassler, she works for IdeaStream.
I used to work with her at WBNS in Columbus.
Yes. And she covers the State House down there. And I guess they are going to throw out the governor's proposal to fund stadiums with that doubling of the sports gaming company's tax from 20 to 40%. That would have created a slush fund to help fund the stadium construction across the state. Well, apparently that has been taken out, and a $600 million bond issuance for the Browns and the Brook Park project is being inserted into the budget. Now, I'm told that will not affect the general fund or come out of the general fund because, again, the Browns' economic proposal for public funding is that the tax dollars generated, sales, property, employment tax, all that kind of stuff, from that complex would go towards paying on the bonds that would be financed. Mm-hmm. And, the dollar figures the Browns came up with seem robust. $600 million from the state investment, $178 million investment from the county, $422 from the city of Brook Park. Admissions tax, income tax, parking tax, they feel would cover Brook Park's portion.
Right.
The county would come from a 1% bed tax, plus a rental car fee, along with sales tax, property tax, and the sin tax. The state would get their money back through through income tax, sales tax, and commercial activity tax. Mm-hmm. The Browns claim that all 3 municipalities over the course of 30 years would get their money back and then some.
All 3 entities, not municipal. There's only one municipality involved here, right?
Well, the state, county, and Brook Park would all get in the end. Would get their money back. Keep in mind when you're talking about bonds, you're paying it. It's like a loan or a mortgage. You're paying interest on those. So yes, the bonds are for $600 million, but the actual price tag with interest is around $1 billion. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. So they're putting in the budget now a bond that basically exactly what the Browns asked for. Okay.
Gotcha.
This is what the Browns asked for.
So let me ask you, why would they change? Is it pressure from lobbyists from the gaming commission
and the Browns?
Oh, the Browns wanted it to go back to this too. The Browns didn't. Oh, okay.
Do you think the Browns want the Cincinnati Bengals to get state money for their state?
Yeah, but they're in the same state. Like who cares if the Browns get their money? What's the difference?
They're competing businesses.
I just think that's silly. I mean, if the Browns can get the money, I just think that's ridiculous. That's petty, if you ask me.
Well, and here's the issue with the bonds thing.
That's a lot of money to be petty, I can tell you.
Well, the state having to finance $600 million in bonds, okay, whether that comes out of the general fund or not, that's going to have a negative effect on the state of Ohio. That's $600 million in bonds. They can't float for something else.
Right.
Keep that in mind. And then also keep in mind, they're going to have to probably float another $600 million in bonds for the Cincinnati Bengals stadium situation. And then they're going to have to float a couple $100 million in bonds for the Cincinnati Reds stadium renovation.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
I see it. I see it.
The Guardians money actually for Progressive Field, that actually came out of the general fund. That was $2 million a year over 15 years. That came from the general fund.
Okay.
And the governor realized, hey, these projects cost a ton of money. And yes,
but they're getting their money back.
Well, as a state, his philosophy is that, and I, of course, we had him on the podcast. You can go back and watch and listen to that conversation that I had with Mike DeWine. But basically, his argument is, hey, these are important businesses and important entities for the state. Always contributed to their construction or whatever, and we need to keep doing that. But we need to do it in a way that everybody can be taken care of. And I think the drawback with what the lawmakers did going back to what the Browns want is I think that causes problems for anybody else that's got a major stadium project.
No, I get it. I don't want to run out of time on this thing. So Mayor Bibb had some stuff to say. What do you have to say?
Yeah, he talked to Fox 8 and just basically said that there's been no settlement conversations with the Browns over the Modell law. He threw out some absurd ticket price figure.
I thought I saw 700 in the story I was watching.
And Bibb said that he got that in lockstep with the county people, and the Browns have come out and basically said that that's absurd.
So the county and the city decided the tickets were going to be $700 for a game.
I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's just the war of words continues. I don't think he's wrong about the $100 parking though, because a lot of NFL teams around their stadiums, parking costs north of $75 a spot.
What's at our place? It is too. What's the lot between the lake and the stadium's like $80.
Is it?
Yeah, it's yep. That's a pretty expensive spot over there.
I thought it was.
And I don't. How much do you think it was?
I thought it was 60. I'm pretty sure it's 60.
60? I don't know why. I thought it was more. I remember driving by there the very first game going, wow, they jacked the prices up on this.
Yeah, they
maybe
did.
It is 60. I could be wrong.
It used to
that's called the Northport, right?
Yeah, it used to be like $20 to park or $25 to park. And then they passed an ordinance that coincided with the parking meter thing for downtown Cleveland when they were.
Oh, yeah.
So as part of that whole ordinance, and they raised the thresholds of what you're allowed to charge to park. Okay. And now everybody's taking advantage of those new thresholds. That's why you're seeing $40, $50, $60 parking in downtown Cleveland for special events. Like there's a lot across from Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse that Dan Gilbert owns that's charging $60 to park for Cavs games. The Guardians now own the Gateway East garage. They're charging on average right now $30 for Cavs games, but select games I've seen $40 parking prices at the Gateway East garage. So that ceiling has kind of been raised a little bit, but so I don't think Bibb is out of line to suggest that parking in Brook Park could cost around $100, but $700 for a ticket.
Well, there's a lot.
If the Browns go the PSL route, and if you factor in the PSL, then okay, maybe what Bibb is saying is true. But right now, the Browns are saying that Bibb basically pulled that number, out of his, his backside. And he claims that the door is still open to talk with the Browns about staying in Cleveland, this, that, and the other. But
he's not talking that way right now. There's it's nothing but, he also called it a scheme.
Yeah. The other thing too, though, is I think he's going to begin the process. He hinted in this conversation with the Galax from Fox 8. Here's a quote about the lakefront. Okay. Right. Whether it be a new music venue, another civic institution like a museum, more restaurants, hotels, residential, as far as what could happen with the lakefront without a stadium on it. So
wouldn't it be great if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame had a concert venue down there?
Well, I have said for years one of the gravest mistakes that the Rock Hall made when it opened was because they had that beautiful like pit.
Yeah.
That should have been like a little band shell type deal.
Right.
So bands could say, hey, live from the
Rock Hall. Yeah.
But they didn't. The reason I was told that didn't happen, they didn't want to compete with like
Blossom.
Well, no. What is it on the Cuyahoga River? Is it still Nautica?
Oh, Jacobs Nautica, whatever that is.
For what it is. Remember, there was the Tower City Amphitheater for a while.
Yeah, it's whatever it is this weekend.
Outdoor down. So the Rock Hall didn't want to compete with those businesses. But yeah, they can't do it now because the expansion that they're doing is being done in that space where.
Here's what I think they should put where the old stadium is. Ready?
I'm on pins and needles.
Ready? So you build a Blossom type venue with a dome over it.
Now you're just trolling. Now
you put one of those really nice shells. You put the shell. Now, do you put the shell on the lakeside or do you put it on the city side?
No. You want people looking out onto the lake.
Are you sure you don't want them looking back at the city? That wouldn't be a bad view.
No, but in the summertime, imagine sunsets. And you're looking out on.
So then you would that's true. And if the stadium's gone, you'd have a perfect venue right there.
You'd see the.
And then.
Or you get really high tech and you rotate, so it's rotational.
Boom.
So
now you have come with great ideas.
Lakefront sunsets, and then in the wintertime it pivots, so you can look at downtown. You can look at snowy downtown Cleveland.
Retractable music venue. That's my next argument.
No, rotating musical venue.
Oh, like the front
like
row.
A record player or a CD. Little rock theme. Get it?
Yeah.
Spin me round like a record. Oh, come on.
Yeah, and get me nauseous so that I want to have the throw up emoji. Yeah, that's exactly where we are.
You don't remember that song?
Yeah, I know that song. Yeah, well. All right, Daryl. All right, let's call it a day. How's that sound?
You on that? And
yeah, I'm not there, man. I'm just not there. I mean, this is like working with Phelps. Same thing.
Yo, what?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That does not make the clip. Never. Goodbye.
Yes.
All right, Daryl.
Absolutely. That probably should be the podcast promo.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Like
Come on.
All right,
Daryl. Evan O'Brien is the greatest producer in the history of podcasting. I just want to say that for the record because he's going to make us look fabulous tonight. Thank you, Evan. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. It's always game day in Cleveland.